Okay, hello, welcome to episode 356 of the Self-Help Podcast with me, Ed Lamb. I'm a good pal, Sean Orford, coming to you in
Hello.
Technicolor.
Yeah.
Hopefully this works out.
So we can actually see each other this time.
Yeah. Well, I know we had last week with Skype, and there was a bit of an issue with the software I used to record that. I mean, infrastructure is kind of being put under a lot of stress at the moment with everyone working from home all of a sudden, and people teleconferencing through apps like this.
I'm wondering about the bandwidth issue because I've been having problems all day.
I've got
different places
through there that are watching Netflix, and as a last, it would be an absolute last resort to switch Netflix off, take a break from it. But we'll see how we get on. We're using Zoom actually, which I know I've been using for a little bit for work, but obviously half the world is using it now, and there are actually some privacy issues that I think Zoom is dealing with in terms of how it handles data and all that kind of stuff. So we're using this for now, at least. I would say Zoom is good, but just do a bit of homework, as I will be doing in coming days.
I think that the Zoom issue is okay if you're using a VPN and that kind of stuff. So you're kind of trying to encrypt as much as you can. I use VPN Middle East mainly for running courses because I can have like 20, 30 people up on the screen at once, you know. Yeah. So I'm either using Zoom or WebEx.
But so far seems all right. It's cool. And we're deep in the we're kind of probably early stages still of COVID-19. Hashtag COVID-19 on Earth, aren't we? So we are. I know last week we said we were building towards kind of doing a bit of an online course using through this podcast. With the book, Live in the Present book. Is that back to front? Yeah. Probably in reverse.
Very good.
As the template. But you're not quite ready, are we yet, Sean, to do that?
No. I'm thinking that maybe we could start looking at that next week and doing it. I've got people requesting me to do things kind of online anyway, which is good. The world's trying to sort itself out at the moment because I went through a quiet space when we were supposed to be off in Paris and we weren't. And now the world seems to be settling into a kind of a rhythm. Now people are at home. A lot of people are working from home, working online, which is one of the reasons why I think we're having problems with the bandwidth. A lot of people are online now.
Possibly, yes. I mean, I was the same. I was quite quiet last week with emails and everything went silent a bit. But this week with my work, it's all come back to life, and all of a sudden I'm mad busy with emails and getting things done. And I think the world's kind of readjusted quite quickly, I think.
And I think that the thing that I'm picking up most working with people, which is what I wanted us to have a look at today, is the issue about where are we putting our consciousness? Are we rehearsing all the negative, or are we looking at the positive? Because the thing that struck me was, it was a few days ago, I think it was Italy. In a day, there were over 800 people died, and that was the headline news. The bit that we weren't told underneath that was that over 900 people had been released from hospital, having survived the virus, having come out the other side. And I think that we're at this point where we need to live, which is part of our live in the present philosophy, which is about the idea of thoughts become things. We're creating what happens next. And what we need to decide is what's going to happen when this virus has blown through, because it will blow through. Yes, it's going to be difficult. Yes, there's going to be losses, and I can't minimize any of that. And there will be losses and suffering. But we will come out the other side of it at a point. And what world are we going to come out into? Because we're actually creating that world now. We're creating with it's our expectations, isn't it, of what happens next.
Well, come on, so all that stuff, because it's fascinating, really, and kind of watching the world rejig itself in real time with kind of, obviously we're not without precedent in terms of what's happening now. These things have happened at semi-regular intervals throughout human history, but we've never done it when we've all been so connected to each other, and either through transport or through technology that's like that we're using right now. So it is as horrible as some of the stories that are coming out are, and as tricky as it is for a lot of people that have lost their work or their businesses overnight. It's amazing. It's amazing watching this stuff happen hour by hour.
But the other side though is like, look at the positive things that are happening. Whether it's as simple as there's a couple of guys running around a town up in the north dressed as Spider-Man, and they run around in the day dressed as Spider-Man, and they book in things where kids will put up in the window, "Spider-Man, please stop here," and they'll stop outside the house and do a thing with the kids being Spider-Man.
Oh, right, cool. I haven't seen that one.
Mad crazy. There's a postman somewhere who goes around dressed in fancy dress, so every day he's somebody different. Yeah. And it's like there are so many people that are doing positive things. I mean, apart from the literally hundreds of thousands of people that have volunteered to go and help the NHS. I mean, there's phenomenal positive things happening if we tune into them.
Yeah, we took we treated ourselves to a Sunday roast once we realised that it was Sunday, because we kind of lost track of what day it was. Yeah, we had a Sunday roast, and we had a load left over for. You could have had it for tea the next night, but we made a plate and took it across to our elderly neighbour across the way, being very careful to leave it on the doorstep and knock and step back and all that stuff, and asking her to reheat it in the microwave so it was all safe, etc. But she was so grateful. Little things like that. It's just going to help us through, aren't they?
Yeah. But those are the things that potentially we can create forward memories of. Yeah. If everybody looks after each other now, then at the end of this, people will look back and say, wasn't it good how we looked after each other? And they'll talk about the positive things that happen. And yeah, there will be negative things to talk about. Yeah, but there'll be that positive accent. If we don't focus on that and we don't start to work with it and look after each other, it will never happen. Yeah.
What's your what's Sean's take on the mental health of the nation from the work you've been doing and the crises you've been helping people through? How's everyone getting on?
Well, I think that the potentials, and we're in the early stages of it, the potentials to get kind of depressive stuff going is quite real. But the issue is, because we know that, we're starting to deal with it. And the amount of people that are putting free stuff up online, on YouTube, all kinds of things, whether it's exercise regimes. Darcy Bustle was doing a ballet dancing thing. There's all kinds of stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
But the trick is, we were talking about it last time, you have to get into a routine. You can't just kind of go, ugh, and stop doing stuff. You need to set your alarm. You need to get out of bed. You need to get on and do stuff and live your day.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you've got something to talk about. Hey, look what we did today. Not, I just sat down and didn't do anything today. It's going to just become same old if we do that. Yeah.
Indeed. I know. Well, yeah. I mean, it was my mum's birthday yesterday.
So you couldn't go and see it?
Well, we could. We did sort of from afar. We went and we left a cake on the doorstep and rang the bell and said hello. And we actually ended up going into the garden for a chat, for a distant chat with them. It was really good fun, actually, and it brightened up everyone's day. Yeah. And, it's a birthday to remember from your mum. Bless her. Yeah, we've got my 10 year, or our 10-year anniversary is coming up in 10 days. So yeah, I mean, I had thoughts of hopping on the Eurostar to Paris so it's going to be a much cheaper 10-year anniversary, but maybe not quite as memorable, or maybe more memorable. I mean, I've still got 10 days to plan it out. It's got to realign our perceptions, haven't we, and what we're expectations a little bit.
You could build a model of the Eiffel Tower and the garden. And there's all kinds of things. You could have lots of
Yeah, okay. I'm in charge of the kids tomorrow and Friday. Well, Thursday, Friday, sorry. So what day is it? Is it Wednesday?
It's crazy like that, isn't it? And that's one of the things why you have to maintain routine, because all the days slip into one. And one of the problems is, because there's no one outside, we had to go and do some stuff in the car, and it was like driving along on a Sunday afternoon. There's just no one out on the road, on the motorway, nothing. And that sense of keeping a routine going, and maybe even keeping something on the wall like a calendar with days on, so you know what day of the week it is, because it's so easy, isn't it? Because if every day feels like a Sunday,
Yeah,
you know? Yeah,
I know, it's true. So yeah, the work you're doing with your regular clients and new clients, is it all virus related? Is it throwing up new issues for
no,
people?
no, not really. I mean, we're dealing with the same kind of stuff, the same kind of stresses that people are under, which is my trade, isn't it? But obviously, the virus would affect some people, and because the people that I'm dealing with, either here or in the Middle East, are in hospitals, working in hospitals, so it is a big issue. But it isn't the issue that you'd think it would be. You know, yes, it's difficult, and it's probably going to get more difficult. But the things that people are telling me much more are about the positive things that happened. And you wouldn't believe this. You know, the fact that a load of farmers in Wales, they spray their crops, right? They can't spray their crops at the moment. What they've done is they've taken all their protective gear that they would use to protect them from the chemicals into the hospitals to give to the workers, so that the workers can now walk around in these sealed suits with all the masks on and stuff like that to protect them. And it's those kinds of things that people are telling me. They're telling me about all these positive things that are happening. And yeah, I've got to deal with some difficult stuff. But overall, the thing that comes through more and more is the positive. And I've got this sense of the two kinds of people I work with. There are those that are focusing on the negative and are going down with it and feeling, and there's those that are focusing on the positive. And when I listen to the news focuses on the negative. Well, it did. But actually, I'm starting to feel in the news, as long as you don't listen to people like Piers Morgan, who doesn't seem to have a positive bone in his body.
None of our listeners listen to a guy like Piers Morgan. Yeah, we're all positive for that.
But if you look at some of the other news feeds, they're showing real positive people. Like there was a family the other day on the Beam. It's been on the internet. That's sang a kind of a locked-in song together. The whole family were doing this production, right from the little tiny daughter up to yeah. Did you see that? And amazing things that people are doing. Lovely things that if we focus on, you know, it's the good stuff that's happening. You know, what can we do today that's good for the people around us, the people we're living with, or the people out there in the community? You know, Thursday tomorrow, it'll be 8 o'clock in the evening. You'll be out there clapping your hands, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's community coming together. And what it makes me think of is what you kept going on to me about when you got a car, all you do is drive down your road, you drive onto your drive, you get out your car, you go in your house. Whereas if you didn't have the car, you'd walk up and down the road and you'd actually interact with people. Well, the thing that I see going on outside my window now, because I sit here in my study looking out onto the road, is I see people walking up and down like I've never seen before. And this is lockdown, but people are going out for exercise. And I see them walking up and down, and they are socially distanced, but they're shouting at each other across the road, talking to each other, interacting like I've never seen them do.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, could this be, out of this nasty situation that we're in, that we get this massive change in our social outlook? Could this be real? Could this happen?
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking that I've been obsessed with this stuff for a while on the transport related front and how that affects our physical and mental health and blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it's just me, but I do feel like my lungs have cleared a little bit from the cleaner air, but I might just be imagining that. But yeah, we've got this nice little habit, me and William, my eldest. If you walk through the woods in our back garden, you come to a big playing field for one of the local schools, which we have to ourselves every night. So after dinner, me and him will just go out with a football and just whack the ball around for half an hour before bed. It's like really cool little. It's one of the highlights of my day, actually. But yeah, we're counting cyclists on the road and in the distance, because we're used to seeing one or two, but every few minutes there's another one through, just getting a bit of exercise probably. It's like, this is the stuff of dreams for me. It's all of a sudden. So what I'm interested in is that you talk about how long it takes to form new habits and how long it takes to really lock them in terms of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So, you know, when I see on the news that, I think it was a few days ago, one of the chief medical people was saying, you know, this is going to be a reality for 6 months. Part of me was going, whoa, that's good. You know, the longer the better, because we're locking in some potentially, look, and I'm trying to be sensitive here and remain sensitive to some of the difficulties we're all facing, but we could be locking in some quite good positive habits here, couldn't we?
Yeah. But that's it, isn't it? They'll only be locked in positive habits if we focus on the positive now. And that's the business about we're creating the future. We create what happens next. So that if thoughts become things and feelings become things, if we're doing positive stuff now, that's what we're going to create for the future.
Yeah.
You know? And it's so important that we don't lock into this kind of negative thought repetition.
What is this? What is the maths and the science behind the 30, 60, 90 day principle? Or
it's neuropsychology. What happens is that if you start focusing on something, like say you want to learn a new skill, like playing the piano, doing crochet, whatever, that your brain, the hippocampus in your brain, produces new brain cells that are in response to the new learning. And it takes about 30 days to build a new circuit of neurons and dendrites in your brain. So you've got a physical interpretation of the skill. So you're starting to be able to do it. And that skill doesn't just have to be a physical doing skill. It could be a way that you think, or it could be a way that you feel. It still creates the same circuit because we're learning something new. And that's where the cells come from in the hippocampus. If you carry on after 30 days, so you do another 60 days, so 90 days and all, what happens is that new learning gets encoded in the higher cortex, and it actually gets encoded in the DNA. What we know is that your DNA when you die is different to your DNA when you're born. And the difference in the DNA is what you've learned. So that each lifetime is like a drop in the ocean of evolution, but it happens so slowly that we don't see it. Yeah. But the DNA that you have, that you imparted to your kids, is different to the DNA that you got when you were born. But your DNA is carried on changing since the DNA was passed to the kids. I mean, it's evolving all the time, you know, and theirs is evolving what they're learning. But once something is in that higher cortex and it's a habit that's in there, it's there forever. Yeah, and the magic of a habit is it takes no willpower and no effort. You just do it. It's like, how many people, if they go for a bike ride, think, oh, I better go for a bike. I know, and they've got to get the bike out, they've got to do that. Yeah, because you do it every day, it takes no willpower, no effort. You just get your gear on, get on your bike, and off you go, because it's a habit.
Yeah.
Whereas when you first started doing it, there must have been days when it was raining or something. You thought, oh God.
Yeah. Totally.
But you just do it now.
It's just how I go around.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I mean, there's all sorts of positives that we wrote a little blog post actually for the Rethink website. Tanya wrote it, and I made a few little tweaks, and we put it online, just asking people gently and gingerly what they from the current world they would like to keep when we emerge from our homes, whenever that may be. I mean, there's lots of. I mean, we're getting kind of a sense and a realization of who do the important jobs in this country. All of a sudden, haven't we? From healthcare, not just healthcare workers, but the essential services. Yeah. People coming to collect our bin yesterday, like awesome. Yeah.
And we had a thing on Wirral where they had to stop the bin service collections for a couple of days because they ran out of staff because people were off ill. And they've managed to pick it up again. But it's those things, isn't it? It's like if all the intellectuals and all the clever dicks stop working for a few months, then one would notice. But if all the civil workers stop working for a few months, we'd really be we literally would be in the, it's that, isn't it? It's like, who is the most important? And if you've got an operating theatre, unless those cleaners go in and clean that theatre, it's an infectious place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I've really realised over the last couple of weeks, when I've been meditating on it, is that this is the deep political bit here, is that capitalism inevitably creates failure. Because everybody's into the I, me, mine, must get, we've got to do a profit stuff, which means I've got to have people to get a profit out of. So I've got to have like an audience or like victims that I've got to get the money out of. Yeah. That in the end, it has to fail, it has to tip over. And this is a classic situation now where people are scared of going bankrupt, they're scared of not having, of losing. And it's like in a genuine communist situation, not the communism we've experienced on the planet so far, but an equality situation where everybody got a basic living wage and all that kind of stuff, there wouldn't be the fear and the worry and the problems. People would just keep going and keep doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the huge experiments we're going to see now. And we're kind of running a bit of a beta trial in universal basic income, aren't we? And the economics of it are a bit beyond me. You know, I can't figure out if we can afford it or not, or how long we can keep this up, economically speaking. But I went to a talk last year about UBI, Universal Basic Income, and plenty of people have been working on this stuff for decades, you know, and apparently the maths, if you do it right, is pretty solid. And we could, you know, if we wanted to, we could switch to a system of which would allow for much better, greater equality and health for people. And quite interesting speaking to pals that I know that work in the health service, how quiet A&E is all of a sudden, because people either are being more careful or are not kind of burdening our healthcare workers with stuff that doesn't really need to be, you know, taken to A&E. So usual, like something that might take 4, 5, 6 hours to wait for is you're in and out in 20 minutes. Amazing.
The thing is that a social system, a socially based system, only works if people participate. You have to kind of opt in. So there has to be that attitude, what can I do to help people, rather than what can people do to help me? And then it works. And to me, it's fascinating that the call went out, we need helpers in the NHS. And literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have come in and said, I'm in, I help, what can I do? Yeah. Interestingly, conversation I had this morning with a farmer up in Wales is that they're in a position in a lot of the farms where they need crops to be picked, and that their workers would normally come from Eastern Europe, and everything's locked down, they can't get them. So what they're saying, in the same way that they need people to come in and help pick the food, else it's going to rot in the ground. We had hundreds of thousands of people want to go to the NHS. They put out the same call for people to help. And they've had 60 people from Cornwall, of all places, that wanted to come up. And they were people that had been effectively furloughed from working in garden centres.
Right.
But if it is the call, get the food out of the ground, is that as attractive as going to work for the NHS? You know, what's that about?
You dipped out for a second then, but we got the gist.
Right.
Yeah, no, I saw that as well, and I've also seen news articles about how like nurseries that usually grow plants for our gardens are kind of all of a sudden you can't go to a garden centre to buy it, just when we're all in our gardens and getting out there and tidying them up. But they could be retooled to grow food, couldn't they? All of a sudden. If potentially we're going to have food issues coming in from overseas. But yeah, I did see that article about we need people to pick the fruit and the veg from our fields. I'd be up for that, to be fair. I wonder if there's anything locally. I wouldn't mind a bit of manual labour to get my hands mucky and get stuck in.
Yeah, maybe down at Claremont Farm, they would know about things like that. They're going on.
Yeah, I know. I think I've seen some Instagram posts from them. They're quite wary that they need to keep their staff and the family healthy and away from the virus. So usually I think farmers might stop and have a chat with someone walking through the field. But at the moment they're like, you know, stay away because we don't want to, we need to keep working to feed
Yeah.
people. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. But that reality is apparently with lettuces, there's a 4-day window where you've got to get them out the ground, get them in the shops, else they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's coming up now. It's a crucial space. You know?
Wow. Yeah, amazing. I've got friends up in family in Northumberland, live on the coast there, and they all went out from the local fishermen that they were kind of coming in for the last time in months with a big haul of lobster. To come and get them while you can. So they did, but I was just thinking about, the lobsters now have got 6-9 months to just roam free, and there'll be trillions of them, a few months from now.
Yeah. And one of the things that we might have to look at is foraging. It's like there is a lot of stuff growing out around all of us that we could go and pick and eat, but you have to know what it is that you're picking and eating. So in the war, using stinging nettles as greens was quite common, but you'd have to go and pick them with gloves. When you boil them, the snakes snake down, so you don't get stung when you eat it. They're very high sources of iron,
Right, okay.
Or the leaves off of dandelions are like rocket. They have that kind of rocket flavour. Or nasturtium leaves that taste like pepper. It's there's a lot of stuff around us that we could eat that we don't realise.
Yeah,
maybe we're going to have to start eating.
A friend of mine that lives just down in West Kirby, he's had chickens in his garden for a couple of years now. He puts pictures of them on Instagram and he gets his eggs every day. And so he's had a lot of people messaging him saying, "Oh, where can I get me some chickens? What do you do? What do you do?" Been on my list for a while, actually, but interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're being quite positive here and but we're not lacking in sensitivity for the tougher stuff that's going on out there, are we? We should point out.
No, and you can't get away from that. I mean, a lot of people are going to have to deal with some really difficult stuff. You can't avoid it. It's going to, But I think that we do have this choice. It's a moment by moment. What are we going to do? Are we going to focus on the negative or the positive? And it's like my vote is that we stay as positive as we can. That we deal with the tough stuff, yes, but we also deal and focus on the positive things that are around us. I mean, it's like you with your two lads that are mobile comedian circus anyway. There must be loads of things in your day that make you laugh, make you smile.
Yeah.
And the more that we can share those kinds of things with other people, it's really good.
Actually, we're trying, aren't we? Okay, you've got a resource of the week, Sean.
The resource I'm going to go for is Action for Happiness. Do an organisational chart that you can put on the wall, like for a month. And they've done one specially, which I put the link up in the notes. So it's the Action for Happiness /news COVID-19 how to respond stuff. But it's a positive day by day things you can do.
It's still going. That's good to know. I haven't heard of Action for Happiness in a while, so that's cool. You triggered me on this, but triggered me to mention it. But it's headspace.com/NHS. I think they're dishing out free trial or access to.
It's free till the end of the year. Anyone for the NHS can get Headspace free of charge end of the year. Yeah,
that's pretty good, isn't it? Wow. Awesome. All right. Cool. Do get in touch with us, and hopefully you're enjoying this kind of video format if you are watching this on YouTube. And if there's anything you would like us to mention, give us a shout. But we're going to try and build up to this 10-step course online, aren't we, Sean?
Yeah, we'll do that. That is good.
But this is pretty cool, this Zoom stuff. I quite like it.
Okay.
Privacy concerns aside.
Yeah.
I'm going to end the meeting. Sean, you take it easy.
Yeah, you take care. You look after yourself. Stay safe. Yeah.
You too. Ciao. See you later, buddy. Bye.
Take care now. See ya. Bye.